This is the beginning of my watch collection. The story behind it is very simple. I bought it to myself when I graduated from my bachelor's degree, and yeah, this was my first watch. I spent a lot of time researching which one I wanted, and because I didn't have such a big budget, I decided to go for this Casio GW-B5600. It's not a smartwatch, but it's a digital watch, so it has a lot of functions like alarm clock, timer. It's also solar powered, which is really cool, so you probably never have to change the battery on this one. Also, it has this resin belt. The belt is so important and many people oversee it, but this is what touches your skin most of the time. Also, a funny story, I broke one of the links or one of the connections which is inside the link, and for some reason I decided to go to the Rolex store and ask them if they could fix it. So I just went inside. I was like, hey, I have this watch which is a Casio. It has this broken link, can you fix it? And the lady was like, yeah. This is not a Rolex, but I can ask the master. She was like, okay, we can fix it. We'll give you a call when it's ready. I went out and like in 5 minutes she calls me back like, okay, it's ready. Can you come pick it up? Anyways, next up we have my very pretty, very gorgeous Seiko Presage automatic watch, which has open back and open front. This part is called open heart, and it's so beautiful because you can see the mechanism inside, and it's just so simple and classy. It has a blue dial and Roman numerals all around, so elegant in a way. So this is kind of my dress watch. It originally came with a metal bracelet, replaced it with this leather one, a black one, and I think it matches really nicely with the blue dial. Yeah, what else can I say? I love this watch so much. It just puts a smile on my face every time I wear it, and I haven't gotten bored of it. So that means it's a classic watch, because I feel like sometimes if you buy something that looks cool and you don't take into consideration how you will enjoy it over time. So many people, they buy like, oh, I like this watch, so I buy it. It looks cool, and then after a couple weeks they stop wearing it because it wears off. So I told you about my Seiko Presage, and the Seiko journey continues with the Seiko Alpinist. It has this green dial with time and date. It's also open back, so you can see the insides, which I really like, but you can't see them as clearly as in this Presage. I think the Presage did a much better job of showcasing the insides than this Seiko Alpinist. It has also this original leather band with the butterfly clasp, which I don't like, so hopefully I can replace it soon. Besides that, the dial is gorgeous with green background and the gold numerals and hands. It's just so beautiful to look at. I don't know how Seiko makes it, but they are the masters of making simple, elegant, and just eye-catching dials. Even on this Presage, they did it so nicely with the blue face and white hands, and the numerals are kind of silver-ish, but everything matches so perfectly. Besides the time date, it also has a compass, so that's what you use the other winder for. Not very useful for me, but a cool feature nonetheless. So yeah, I really like the look of it, but it doesn't strike me so much of a dress watch, even though it's really pretty, and it doesn't either feel like a sports watch. It's more like a worker's watch, because it has this like rugged look and feel at the same time as being like old school classy. So the whole branding behind this watch is being for the outdoorsy mountain people, hence the name Alpinist. But I do not feel like I will bring this watch with me, on me, if I'm going somewhere outside, like climbing a mountain or hiking. That's why I have my Garmin Fenix 6S. And this is a fully digital smartwatch. It needs to be charged, well, depending on the use, like every once in a week or twice a week. I originally bought this watch when I started running to track my progress, because you could get these functions on your phone as well using an app, but I prefer having it on a watch and be more precise. But I also use for any other activity like hiking, snowboarding, swimming, whatever. If it's somewhere where I need to move actively, I'm putting this watch on. I also got a bunch of straps for this one, and because I have so many straps for it, it makes it more fun to wear because I can quickly change up the straps, replace them with a new color and have a new feeling for the watch. Honestly, I've used this watch the most out of all my watches because I'm just that active. But I try to separate my Garmin sports watch from the rest of the watches. My personal opinion is that I find it a little bit like tasteless when people wear their sports watch with anything, anywhere, anytime, like the Garmin watch or the Apple Watch. People like have it on all the time at any occasion. Even though I think it doesn't look bad, especially Apple Watch, but you wouldn't wear your sneakers with your dress, right? Well, yeah, I might get some hate here. But yeah, some people do it anyways, so as I said, it's just my opinion. A watch is both a tool and a decoration. In the same way we put on nice clothes, we put on nice watches or nice shoes to feel better, and that's why I like having multiple watches in different styles and different colors, and it's like having multiple shoes. But I feel shoes are consumable items, like they wear out, they need to be replaced. Meanwhile, a watch is like a forever thing. That's why, if we go back to my previous statement, it's so important to pick a watch that you are sure that you can wear over a longer period of time and not just think, right here, right now, I like this watch. But today, most people have a smartwatch, and I have kind of mixed opinions on that. Like, if you exercise, I understand having a smartwatch like Apple or Garmin is good, but most people don't really exercise. So the watch is just extension of your, well, a smartwatch is an extension of your phone. It also does the same things as your phone, but you have a shorter distance to your wrist than to your pocket. So having a nice watch is just like having a nice t-shirt, nice sweater, any nice type of clothes. It makes you feel happier, it makes you look better. So yeah, this is my watch collection. I enjoy using them, and that's a point many people forget, that if you have a thing, you should be able to use it as often as possible. I don't really find it meaningful when people have a lot of watches and they just don't use them, or when people just like to buy watches, use them a couple of times and then put them away in the drawer. Usually that applies to cheap watches, and my opinion on that is that you shouldn't buy something you're not planning on using. It's better to invest in something more high quality. And the last topic I want to bring up is, who cares, right? Like, I was thinking, most people don't know a single thing about watches, and they cannot tell difference between an expensive watch and a cheap watch. So the conclusion should be, wear what you like. And if you get more interested in the watch world, then you can dive deeper into it and maybe do a little bit research, but the conclusion there will be that Seiko #1. As you understand, I'm a big fan of Seiko because they have a good balance between price to performance, or price to quality, and I don't like overpaying for things. Like, what is quality in a watch? There's only so much you can do with the mechanism inside and the materials outside. Yes, there's like precision inside going on, and you need to be very specific, and it probably takes a lot of time, but still, it doesn't do much more than tell the time and sometimes date. And sometimes they have other fancy functions like the compass or the moon phase that nobody cares about. But if you're buying a watch and you don't care about other people's opinion or how this whole watch industry is set up, you're just buying it for your own enjoyment, I still would like for you to do some research. Even if you're buying a cheap watch or a really expensive watch, I don't know how much money you have, it still would be nice if you try to do some research. Like, even Google up the brand, like, is this company of watches high quality? Is it good? What mechanism are they using? Are they making watches themselves, or are they most likely buying it from Seiko or Citizen and just changing up the name and putting an expensive price tag on it? Because there are some companies like Daniel Wellington or Louis Vuitton watches or Gucci watches or any like clothing company like Gant, if you're buying a watch from them, then I will judge you. Because that's a piece of trash. So I told you that there is a mechanism inside the watch that makes everything move and tick, and that's what makes them so special or unique. Because of all these tiny pieces, it's a craftsmanship in making them, and this is why they are so expensive, because there's a guy who needs to put every like disc, every circle, every wheel, you know, mechanism, multiple circles. So that's why they are so expensive. But that's all bullshit in my opinion. That can't be the reason for why they are so expensive. If it were, then your phone would be a gazillion dollars more expensive, because a phone, a computer, and any part of technology, it has so many more parts and connections, such a more advanced thing than a watch. Also, a really funny fact is that automatic watches, they are less precise than a digital one. So all that talking about how much craftsmanship they put into all these precise parts inside, it's all nonsense, or most people shouldn't care about it, because it doesn't transfer into a watch being more precise or better. It just makes it more advanced. So a automatic watch like a Rolex, an expensive Rolex, will lose like 5 seconds or something every day, maybe even more, I'm not really sure. But that just shows that they are unprecise. A digital watch is much better. So it kind of goes back to the point that a watch is more of a fashion piece than a tool. Besides the smartwatches, I find them more of a tool than an accessory. And let me close this video by getting some hate from people who use Apple Watches. It's like the worst of both worlds. It's not a good sports watch compared to Garmin. It doesn't track you in a good way, it doesn't give you all the statistics or information, and the battery is trash. Like, you need to charge it every day. Even if you have the most expensive one, it only lasts for a couple of days or something. And if you are using it actively, like tracking your hike over a long period, like if you go into the mountains for a couple of days, then you're not sure if the battery will hold up. I find it so mind-blowing that people use Apple Watch as a sports watch. It's also, as I told you in the beginning, kind of tasteless if you use it in any occasion, with any outfit at any point of time. Like, it looks decent, don't get me wrong. I like the look of an Apple Watch much better than a Garmin watch. You don't use the same clothes to work, school, meeting, wedding, etc., right? You change it up. Even though you have one set of really nice clothes, you still wouldn't use them everywhere. And then there's people who are not active and just use the Apple Watch for the connection with your phone. And my question there is, why do you want to be connected all the time? Isn't that annoying? When your phone vibrates, your watch vibrates as well. Why do you need to stay connected all the time? What is so important? Like, you already have a phone, you can take it out of your pocket, see whatever message or whoever is calling you or any of those notifications. Why do you want to be bothered on the wrist? Like, for me personal, Garmin has a lot of functionalities where you can connect it to your phone and have all these notifications, etc. Not as good as Apple, not nearly as fancy and smart, but I don't need it. I turned everything off. I want this watch to be as dumb as possible, in a way that I don't want any social activity, notifications, being bothered by messages, etc. That's why I have my phone. This watch is only for tracking my activity and giving me insightful data on the workout I'm doing or the activity, etc. So it's a smartwatch, but not a social watch. Apple Watch is a social watch. But yeah, I think the number one important thing for me is the battery. If I need to charge the watch every day, hell no. No, I don't need a watch that is like a Tamagotchi that I need to babysit and make sure it's charged, and if it's not charged, I cannot use it and then I'm stuck, yeah. So, is watch collection a hobby? I'm not really sure. For some people, it's the appreciation of the craft and that's why they buy these so expensive watches, because of the craft that went inside. I'm not that type of person. I do appreciate the craft, but I'm not fanboying over it, like wow, it's cool, but what does it give it to me? For other people, it's an investment or a collection. That's kind of a hobby in a way, but as I told you, for me personally, I would like to wear the things I own instead of just putting them on the shelf. So the question then is, would I buy Patek Philippe Nautilus that costs over 50 grand if I had the money for it? Yes.